Good morning, folks. Welcome to Something More Than Gibberish. Today we feature Jamie Dawson, Instagram handle at DawsonTheArtist. This lady is from Tampa, Florida area. I believe she's quite active live, albums, poetry. I've heard a lot about her, so really looking forward to getting to know this artist that Gemini has introduced to the show. Speaking of which, I'm just waiting for Gemini and Jamie to arrive. So this show, folks, for those of you who probably watch it later who aren't aware, every second week we feature a and showcase their work, to discuss their journey into writing. Here's some of their recitals. Good morning, ma'am.
Good afternoon, evening to you, sir.
It's morning for me.
No, but it's not morning for me.
Oh, so we're going by what it is to you. Okay, good evening to you, ma'am.
Oh, that is so kind of you. Good morning, dear sir.
Thank you. My goodness. Now, we're all dressed and know where to go because we're waiting for our guest.
It gave me some issue. I could even put a comment in.
Yeah, I saw that. You put one comment in and then I couldn't even see you in the room. And I can't see you right now. Camera's off, obviously.
I have the camera off, but I actually put two comments in, and it told me neither one of them. It said that both of them failed.
I saw two comments from you, 1 second and 1 sec. In case I didn't understand the second, you had 1 sec.
It told me neither one of them went through.
Oh, well, they're on here. I can read them. It's Instagram. I was just mentioning what happened to us on the last show where it just suddenly ended. Jamie's come in the room. Jamie, if you can put in a request to come up, we can get the show started.
I'm going to plug my phone into life support, and I'll be on screen shortly.
Well, life support's always a good thing.
Okay. Now it's not letting me see any of the comments. I'm gonna jump out and jump back in.
All right, Jamie, if you would like to put in a request to come up via the little camera with the plus sign there. There we go. We've got it. Okay, let's bring you up, Jamie. And Gemini is going to rejoin since she was having difficulties. Hey, how are you, Jamie?
Hello, amazing. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Very pleased to make your acquaintance. I've heard so much about you from Gemini, so I'm really looking forward to this show. Here she is.
My baby!
Hello. Good volume, everything. Yes. So I guess I can formally introduce myself. I'm Jamie, also known as Dawson the Artist. First and last name, that's my name. I've been doing poetry for a little while now, and I was born and raised in Tampa, Florida, and that is how I know the lovely Gemini Fox.
Hello, Jamie. Hi, Rainier.
Hi, this is, oh geez, see that abrupt greeting I get. Hi, Rainier. Just very businesslike.
Don't
But Jamie,
start. It's too early in the interview to start. Don't start.
Jamie, as I mentioned earlier, I've heard a lot about you from Gemini, so I've been really looking forward to this. And I have since looked at some of your work on your pages, on your Instagram page. I love what you do. I love what you write, so I'm really looking forward to expounding on some of these work, and also talking about your albums and the other parts of your artistic sort of talents. So yeah, really looking forward to this. So just to give you an idea with this show, what the aim is to feature selected guests, showcase their work, learn about their journey into writing. What are their drivers? Why do you write? You know, what inspires you to write? What's the target? What have you got coming up in what have you got planned in your roadmap in your writing? This sort of stuff. It's all about showcasing you today. Not about Gemini, not about me. It's all about you. We've got a couple of hours basically. We could go for longer, but the only thing is sometimes Instagram, when I download from the archives, it clips it. Then I've got to record screens and merge it. Because what I do is at the end of it, besides posting on an Instagram where I'll add you guys as collaborators so you can share on your own pages, I also create YouTube and podcasts of the interview. So, and I'll send you those links which you can use for your own promotional work or whatever. So that's the only reason I say a couple of hours. So the next couple of hours is all about you and it's your stage.
Oh, I love it. What a lovely way to spend a Friday.
My
Amazing.
baby. Now I'm going to share Jamie with the world. Now, people, I'm going to tell y'all this up front. Jamie is my muse for my dresses. Do not mess with that. Jamie's my baby. Do not mess with her. Please mind your P's and Q's. Stay out of her DMs, okay? Okay, now that we've said everything we need to say, I want you to experience my baby, and you will not be disappointed at the time that you're spending. Okay, now Renier, you can go ahead. I just have to make sure I get them straight because, like, Mama gonna come on. Okay.
You don't want to upset Mama. Mama cat's mean, scary. So, so Jamie, I guess like with everybody else, but where did it all start for you? The writing, when did it start? How did it start?
Okay, so where did the writing start? I always loved to sing, and in loving music, as soon as I could write and have my own notebooks, I started doing what I thought, songs, like very rhymey verse, chorus, hook, like think I'm Alicia Keys or Disney Channel or something. And then I started to read. And I believe that a lot of writers should read and read profusely. Because then in reading those people, I began to try to emulate them. I had a Black poetry book with me all throughout middle school, almost at all times. It had Maya Angelou and Langston Hughes and who else was in there? Some Sonia Sanchez, some like Amira Barak, and so all this in this anthology. And I was like, wow, I wanna write like that. So I started doing more stanza, breaking the rhyme scheme here and there, playing with enjambment. And so that was like middle school. So for me, I really like to describe feelings, of course, but really trying to gather the scope of what makes us human, what makes us connected. And I believe that there's always some kind of light that strives to break through. So really one of the first poems I ever wrote that I remember, um, we had to pick colors. When they're first teaching you all of the literary devices, in fifth grade, second grade, whatever it is. They're like, okay, well, now pick a color and write a poem about everything that, you learn. And I picked the color gold. Already, that was a poetic choice in and of itself. And I can't remember the full thing. It's lost now to time, but it was something like, from golden arches to victory marches, a memory that lasts forever because you and me are together. Gold is the color of, and la 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 la. So that's when writing became conscious, for me. When it was the first time other people had laid eyes on my writing, and that moment was also the first time I ever read my writing out loud because the teacher goes around like reads everyone. She's like, Jamie, you want to read yours for everybody? And I was like, nah. She's like, it's really good. You should read it for everybody. I'm like, "Oh,
Let me go.
Hi, Fran.
The
How are you?
Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? Thank you guys for jumping back on and for rejoining the live. Um, as you know, we've had some issues with Instagram. Everyone has across the poetic, the creative platform, the creative community. So thank you so much for rejoining the live. Hi, Jamie. Hello, baby.
oh, interesting. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, when we do with our own time, with our attention spans, what we will, and it's not what they want. Oops, sorry.
It's just you two both froze for me, and there were no comments coming through, and so yeah, clearly disconnected the continents, and I was talking to myself.
But
So, getting
nothing
back to
new
what
here. We're not gonna like just rub over that. That's nothing new. You've talked to yourself before. It's actually very calming to talk to yourself. Unless you're not nice to yourself, then that's something totally different.
this is just to give you a glimpse of what I've got to put up with, Jamie. What this is just giving you a glimpse of
What?
what it's like to be on the recipient end.
I'm being nice to you. I'm telling you,
Oh,
like, it's normal to talk to yourself. You know what, Gemini? Just don't listen to him because he doesn't know how to accept a compliment. Okay, okay, there we go.
yeah, I guess schizophrenia can be a compliment.
It's not schizophrenia, it's multiple personality, and I'm a Gemini, so I know the signs. Anyway, as you were saying, Rainier,
I was saying, so Jamie, you mentioned you found this connectedness within us as people.
Mm-hmm.
That's profound at a young age in middle school. And I could see that in some of your in your writing as well, where you look for the deeper meaning of life in our interactions in the people we meet, more than just the physical what we see, and that's quite profound.
Yes,
But starting off with singing, so do you still sing a lot?
I do still sing. I do still sing.
That's awesome. Maybe we might get an example of some bars from you. Um, so, uh, what's the preference, writing or singing?
Oh goodness. So there's a lot that flows in and through me, and I am but a humble vessel. I would say whatever the medium is goes along with the challenge. It meets the moment. So, oh, what is it? Sometimes like, if the soul needs a cry, okay, we'll sing. If if a thought needs to be just unleashed, we'll write some poetry. If something is too heavy, we might dance it out. We might we might dance it out. Um, yeah, and everything just builds in and of itself. I believe that creativity is, a bucket. And once we take our drops out, it becomes something more, but creativity all in and of itself is that big bucket. Um, again, that connects us all.
I love that. If the soul needs to cry, we'll sing. That's very true. Because I love music. Music's my escape, although I can't sing to save my life. But I love listening to music. Matter of fact, if I sing, sort of frogs start coming through the windows. But I do love music, and I find that's my escape when the soul needs to cry, and when a thought needs to be let out. Right, I love that. I love that. Really do. Yeah. Uh,
I never thought of it as the soul needing to cry. That explains why we listen to certain types of music when we're sad.
yes.
It's beautiful.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, with music I'm definitely like a melancholy girly. Even those kind of songs where like the lyrics, are like kind of solemn, but they'll still put like a major key with it. So it gives you all of this like bright orange and pink, but like we're still talking about some pretty deep things. That's the
Mm,
bag.
mm.
Nice. Emotions and colors. I like that.
I also find sometimes when I'm deep in thought or in reflection of something, and music's playing on either playlist in Spotify or a radio station, I find songs that come in there, that lyrics that quite often speak to me when I'm trying to puzzle
Mm,
through something, which I've always found that from childhood, and I found it uncanny how
mm,
just the blues, not even a song that's popular, just comes out, but the lyrics is what I needed to hear at the time through my reflection.
mm.
Hmm. Is that the song, or are you only in tune with the lyrics because that's what you need to hear?
No, I always like obviously love the beat of a song, but the lyrics mean more to me. So I'm always listening to the lyrics,
Hmm.
and just happens to just come in there to when your mind is going on 10 things and you don't know which is the right path, and it's all this confusion. This right when it comes to drops, sometimes it might be just one line or a couple of words that needed to hear to trigger my thoughts. But I find that even with poetry, like Fran, who's in the room today, sent me a DM today of a piece that I needed to hear with everything that I've gone through in the last 6 weeks, and her piece was randomly says sent to me, and I just needed to read it. That connected.
Mm.
That connected.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I also believe that because I've had moments, right? Like I'm listening to a song and like it's my jam, and then like I get out the car. Okay, I drive an old car, y'all. It's a 2010 Jeep. So I literally put CDs into the CD player. So I'm sorry, 2010 is not that old in the grand scheme of things, but in the scheme of a car, and we're in the year of our Lord 2024, it's a little bit old.
For the year of our Lord.
But I put physical CDs, into the CD player. And I've had times where I'm listening to a song and I get out the car and I go and I have my event, I have my day, I see my people, blase blase. I get back into the car and that same song starts playing. And it's like, no, we're not doing like it's so fickle how you can be on one vibration in one moment, you go off, you do something, you come back, it's a completely different moment. It's a
Yep.
completely different vibe. It was maybe separated by 30 minutes max. And and I think that's one reason why keen artists create pieces where it can speak to multiple moments. And
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
in the law of that specificity, actually, the more specific you are with something, the more generally applicable it becomes. It's so amazing how those little details can transcend various moments. And that's one thing that I hear with music that I have absolutely taken and put into poetry. Because singing started out as one of the first modes of expression for me, there's a lot that I've borrowed from that medium to live on inside of my poetry, informs the way that I create.
Mm. Yep. You're right. So one of the things that puzzles me, so in poetry, sometimes they say less words in a line is better than more. But I tend to be quite specific in what I'm writing. So yeah, what's right? But you're right. I like the specifics to make sure that the message is not misinterpreted. But then on the other hand, it leaves more for the mind to, for the reader's mind to explore as well. Instead of just one guided path, it can, from your words, they can go in many directions. So what's the right balance? Who knows? I just go
Yeah,
with if it works for me, it works. You know what I mean?
absolutely. Experimentation and balance are what you absolutely have to. And there's like an evolution that comes with writing styles too, like which again goes back to reading. You know, when you're consuming a certain type of literature, you very well may change up something that you do with your writing. Um, in all of the different ways that writing could evolve.
Mm,
Mhm.
mm,
And that's one thing like I've been conscious of as far as reading other poets. Um, I don't want to try to sound like other poets. But there's something different for me listening to other poets. There's a difference between like hearing, reading their words and putting it in my voice than hearing them share their poetry in their voice. It's almost like it's distinct. Like this is Talame C, this is Jamie Dawson, this is Obi West, this is Black Wildflower. This is them, and I am me. But when I read it, I read it in my voice, and I'm afraid of getting influenced by that. So that's a good point you made.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't fear influence. I almost kind of miss those days. So I came up in poetry really with Heard Say, which is a youth arts collective we have down here. And from ninth grade to 12th grade, every Saturday from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., I was sitting in a room of other teenagers and we were doing poetry. We were
mm.
reading each other poetry. We were critiquing each other's poetry. We were practicing. It was just poetry central up in there. And one thing that I do kind of miss about those workshops was the kind of give and take. You know, like someone could present a poem and it could be, you said this line, but I think this line should go like this. And it's not, everything is, you take the suggestion if it works out for you. But it's one of those things where like this moment and this line and this phrase wouldn't have been invented had we not been exchanging.
Mhm.
One of my college professors, Craig Warner, he sat on a panel in his final year. He retired, so they were doing these big old, hey Dee, hello. They were doing these big, amazing retirement things for him. So he had colleagues come in from all over the world, and they had this running joke the whole time. Like, we have read and edited and given each other so much feedback on all of our works and dissertations and publishings across the years. I bet you one day we're going to be found out because there's going to be one sentence that is in every single work that we have all worked on. And it's kind of cool. When we ourselves are in the thick of it and like this is our industry and this is our home, you know, the writing on the wall, like that welcome home sign, like that Hobby Lobby, like necessary trinket can like live on the bottom shelf of every single poem, of every single chapbook, of every single album, and no one would know except for us. And we would know that it got there from us sharing and exchanging so much.
You see, that's mm, because I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking Ram. with poetry battles here on Instagram where he has the prompts. I'm thinking Mr. Wits. I'm thinking Grow House with our workshops. And now I have to like strongly agree with you because like I feel fed in those spaces because like we eating from each other. I'm not just consuming one person. It's like we interchange. Okay, I'll let Renier share his thought because I can see it bubbling up. Just...
No, no. All I was going to say, carry on with what you were saying. You were quite interested in what you were just saying. Please carry on.
In those spaces, so when I started writing, I felt like I was by myself. I didn't know about poetry in Tampa. And when I first met the We Spoke group, it was first Heard 'em Say. I met Heard 'em Say group first, which is a group that Jamie was a part of. And then We Spoke, and I sat down in a theater because they told me that this young, talented poet was going to do a one-woman show. And I sat down and I laughed and I cried and I wanted to find out everything about her. And to be able to sit down with these same people and to interchange poems to find out like, okay, to clarify your thought in your piece because they're listening to it and they're kind of wanting to know if this is what they heard, and y'all do this back and forth. I can't imagine having like one of your lines in my poem or like one of Charles's lines in my poem and like discovering it later like all of us have the same line. That would be freaking awesome.
Oh my gosh. I think I've made it.
Yes,
I
I'm
think
like, look, I can say I have some of Miss Parker's quotes in my poems because Miss Parker just jumped in. But like, okay, I'm gonna stop now because then I'm gonna start talking about everybody and talking about you and trying to connect you with everybody, which is the purpose of this. The purpose of this is for people that we've interacted with. Renee has brought in people from Australia and from different parts of the world, and me from Tampa and from different parts of America. And all of you are experiencing each other, just what you were talking about. Just what you were
Hmm.
talking about. So I am excited and I'm giddy and I'm going to stop talking now because I'm going to start rambling because I'm going to start talking about everything like I know about you and all of our experiences, and that'll take up 2 hours.
I love it. Thank you for giving
Welcome.
your opinion on that also. You know, it's well here. You got something right here for I keep on going.
Um, a couple of one thing that you said before, Gemini, like, and what you've both been saying, sometimes it's nice to have a line that we're all iterating. That's a common thought. By the way, Miss Parker, I think Gemini just publicly admitted to plagiarism of your quotes, so she's publicly admitted it. Just for the record.
I
But
said
one of the things.
inspiration.
Oh,
Inspiration is not plagiarism. Plagiarism is copying down everything. And she knows about inspiration because she has some of my stuff. Hey, Shia.
Miss Parker, I think this is referred to as backpedaling, Miss Parker, just in case if a reference backpedaling, it's just
Call it what
I'm
it is.
moving back.
There's a word for that.
Uh, So what I
Okay.
was going to say is one thing I've done, like like reading, especially renowned famous poets. Like we've got Pablo Neruda here, for example. But what I have tried to, me personally, avoid doing is to read a particular poet or renowned poet particularly extensively for fear
Mm.
of I don't want even subconsciously for them to influence my style of writing because I want my uniqueness, my expression. So rightly or wrongly, that's what I've always done. So I wouldn't like I've been chipping away at like Pablo Neruda like for very slowly. I wouldn't read it cover to cover because I'd hate that to influence how I construct my lines, how I construct because I want it to just come naturally from within. So that's an interesting point.
Oh, beautiful.
I've got one question for you, Jamie. Do you write being an author and being a musician or singer, do you write your own lyrics?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yes.
yes.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Oh, yes.
I hope
It's a problem.
before
In
this is
fact, I rewrite other people's lyrics.
And she improvises as well, so she can freestyle a melody. That's when you say when the soul needs to cry. I've seen her freestyle a melody um, at the beginning of a poem before she starts a poem, and freestyle in the middle of the poem and end it, and it just sounds like something that wanted to exist. Okay, I'm gonna stop now. I love
that
you, Jamie.
said,
Thank
that
you.
said, Jamie, can we have can we have a piece of yours, whether it's a song, whether it's a poem, whether it's a freestyle? Can we have some examples of yours?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So
I'm dying for
this
this.
is one that has been resurfacing. And one thing that I want to preference with to go along with the conversation, one of the beautiful things about growing inside of workshops with other people and being with them on a consistent basis is that it helps us really get to the heart of what I believe poetry is for, which is that expression. But even that expression as it exists, for the vulnerable self, when you workshop with people consistently, they have a way of being able to identify where you are hiding, what you have yet to include, what you want to say, but what you're saying instead. So being in workshop with other people has been how I have been able to create some of my most vulnerable and brave and expressive pieces. So I'm gonna share with us one of those. Um, it started out as a poem called For Pawpaw.
Mm.
It grew inside of workshop, became like a team piece performed, which was then called Growing Through the Cracks. And then from Growing Through the Cracks, I have now made another version of Pawpaw.
What? Okay.
And yeah, to me, I wish I had them both to give you side by side, but it's been so long that I only have like this third iteration that exists. But no, it took so much work and took multiple people um for it to live. This is also one of my whys, and I hope you enjoy. Flowers. Oh, flowers. Flowers can grow from the darkest of places, resisting the entropy of the world, bringing beauty to something so chaotic. Cancer built a brick wall, but we grew through the cracks. Dear Pawpaw, to me, you were always more than your cancer. Pawpaw took me to church. Pawpaw taught me to sing. Pawpaw couldn't dance, but Pawpaw taught me how to dance. Pawpaw, with his own hands, transformed his garage into a living space for me and my mother. He was a carpenter whose dreams went further than the tool shed, and maybe I was the last dream to reach outside of that tool shed. And I remember I said, Pawpaw, what's those funny things in your nose? Oh, well, Pawpaw, how come I can't see the fish inside your oxygen tank? Well, Pawpaw, one day you went away and you never came back. They say you're gone, but now they put me on this fancy dress to come see you. Papa, why are you just laying there? Papa, why aren't you saying anything? Why are all these people crying? Papa, what's cancer? And they say that at that young age, it's hard to understand. They say that at a funeral, you're supposed to let the children nap. So I napped. At that age, it was hard to understand that death is only the beginning. That to me, you will always be alive. And that's why at the end of every May, after the April rains have passed, Papa, I search for the dandelions that sprout from your bones. I blow them and try to catch a wish before it falls down to the ground, Papa. I just hope to make you proud. I just hope to give hope like the hope you have given to me. And I am thankful. I am grateful because the Grim Reaper sweeps, but he continues to miss me because he too knows that I am the last dream to ever reach outside of your tool shed. Papa, this is to say, I'm sorry, but thank you. And I won't toy with this gift you've given me anymore. Thank you for being that carpenter, for leaving some extra parts around to build and construct me so I can be something beautiful existing inside this world.
I need to let that one breathe. Given Gemini, I'm going to let you talk because I can't talk right now.
Why are you going to do that to me? I stayed on camera. I can believe that you were able to wring out more emotion into that poem, but I couldn't see it until after you shared it because I heard the original poem. I think I heard the group piece, but this is so powerful, so innocent, so raw. I could see you as a little girl with these thoughts and these questions and like looking back and then moving forward to who you are now and the promise that the little girl made. With this poem, I wish I had met your grandfather.
Great thing. And fun fact, he was not even my grandfather. Papa's what I called him. This man was not even related to me through blood. He was married into my family. And what a wonderful, wonderful person.
Well, I am thankful that he married into your family. I have been blessed to know you, and he is proud. Because I'm proud. Like, and I'm not your mama. Because your mama knock me out and take me out if I try to say that you're mine. only say that I've adopted you a little bit, but you have a full mama, 100,000%, that backs you 100,000%. And I can only, I can see him when you talk. I can see him when you talk. So you've done him proud. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm gonna go cry now, so go ahead, Rainier.
Jamie, that piece in itself speaks a lot about what a beautiful human being exists within the person I'm seeing on screen. It really speaks of a very profound soul, a very kind-hearted soul, a soul that's very much in touch with life. I related to that piece so much because I lost the closest person to me ever in life, my father, when I was 12. And over four decades, even after, I still look for the flowers after the April rains have gone. Your very opening line, flowers can grow from the darkest places. That's one of the biggest things that drive me through life. I've just, in the last 5 weeks, I've farewelled 3 close friends. One was only 28, who took his life. A person that I'd known since he was born. But the lines, the very inspiring lines in there, they grew through the cracks. How come I can't see the fish in your oxygen tank? These are really heartfelt. A heartfelt indication of somebody who's very, very, very much in touch with the deeper meanings in life. You touch me with that. The way you delivered it, your tonal inflections of the little girl speaking, was second to none. The written part is one aspect, the delivery takes that listener on a journey. Thank you for sharing that. I could talk about that piece forever. I could just take that piece and just go and listen to it over and over again and disappear in a world of my thoughts, in a world of my pain through the many decades of my life. That is a lasting effect of your writing, your recital, your gift. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for listening and receiving. I'm gonna give you a big hug. I love
There you go. Group hug.
and I love.
They say men shouldn't be vulnerable. Here I am shedding tears on a public screen, but I've got no issue with that. It shows that the hard man is a soft teddy bear inside. But thank you for that's amazing. I can see why Gemini said I'm going to love hearing what you have to share. I really am, and I really did, and I really do. So was that a piece that's obviously you've written a few iterations on as it evolved, as life evolved?
Oh yeah.
Do you do that with a lot of your pieces?
Um, I used to more often. But yes, I still do. Most of my pieces start as free writes, as just almost kind of like journaling and wanting to just say something. So, you know, this one probably started like, I love my papa, but when I was young, he died of cancer, and it made me sad. But I was grateful for him because he took me to church, and I always hear these stories they tell me about how he would encourage me to sing. You know, it probably literally genuinely, you know, started like that. And then after that, for me, comes the images, and I'll probably say that's my favorite part. I love to stare off into space and, you know, have whatever is in my visual field disappear as my imagination, you know, filters images to the front. And so, you know, as I meditate on different things, different people, different images, you know, come to mind. And I love to weave those into story. So a mixture of fact and vision, fact and vision, fact and vision, and they intertwine. And I think the emotion is what holds it together, like this glue. And inside of the emotion is also an intent. Um, yeah, an intent.
You've touched so many. Fran's comment there, and Fran, she's from Scotland and she writes some pretty powerful, heartfelt pieces. She said her comment is, "She's in pieces. The emotions are extraordinary," and that is so true. Um, wow, Jamie, you've just given me another reason to risk getting my getting a chop to my throat and visit Tampa. I'd love to hear you live.
You must have
I'd
done
love to.
something great if you are owed a chop to the throat.
Ah,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah. Ask him what he did for me to promise to hit him in the
How
throat.
did you earn it? I know you earned it well.
just just lucky, I guess. I'm just lucky because it's not just once. It's been happening for. We're coming up to 12 months since we started this show, and for pretty much 12 months, I've been getting threatened to get chopped to the throat. So kung fu chop. So I'm going to risk that and come to Tampa just so that I can see you perform, and a few others, like there was Charles and yeah, a few others that I, Onyx to God, and a few others that I want to see perform.
Oh,
So
I'm
given
so
me more reason to come down there, to risk my health and come down there,
You,
my
you,
safety.
you'll survive it. You're just going to be quiet for a little bit, which the world could use a little bit more quiet. I'm just saying.
Ah, fair enough. Um,
Fair enough.
yeah.
what can I say? I can't decide what the
Bring me
world
a
needs, right?
little also, you know, I do feel for you and your losses. And um, you know, unfortunately, and a little bit, words do fail me on topics like that because of, you know, the grief trauma we've just explored together. But I do in this instant have a soul cry, so I'm just gonna go off a little bit and, you know, give a little blessing and a little woosah on that one for you. It's all right, everything will be okay. You'll see him in heaven, 'cause you're gonna get there someday. Don't worry, just keep on doing what will make him proud. 'Cause baby boy, he's looking down with a smile.
It's so beautiful, Jamie. Thank you. That is so beautiful. And you're right. My father has always been around me ever since I was 12. And in times of trouble, he's always there. I can feel him, I can hear him. So thank you. The the young man that I said that I had to farewell, who took his life, sadly, 2 years ago, I spoke at his father's funeral,
Mm.
August 22, who took his life. And then 2 weeks ago, I spoke at the son's funeral. There was over 1,200 people there.
Mm.
Biggest crowd I've ever spoken in front of.
Wow.
That's how much it was loved. That's how much it was liked. There was one of his work colleagues who was holidaying in the States. He cut his holiday short to make sure he attended the funeral. You can be so loved and still be alone at that moment of need. You've got a beautiful voice too, Jamie. I think, yeah, you are the whole package there. You write, you sing, and your uh, spoken word. As I said, the tonal inflections, they mean a lot to me because it draws on the emotion and it delivers the emotion of the words. Amazing. Yeah.
Thank
Um,
you.
So, Jamie, um, tell us about some of the things that you've done. I already told everybody about um, when you had first graduated university, I believe it was, and you did the one woman show. Rania said something concerning your album that's out on all streaming platforms. So tell us some of the other things that you have done between realizing what path you needed to take for your journey and being on that path right now, however much it has diverted you.
Oh, absolutely. Um, oh, there's something that gives me so much, I want to say sanctity, is peace, this harmony when I'm dealing with writing and with poetry. Um, it's something transcendental. And so growing up through, heard him say in the workshops and things, technically, that was a slam poetry world, that I grew up in, but always in my heart, that wasn't the stopping, point. Um, Sometimes to people it seemed like maybe that was the biggest platform or the biggest stage for spoken word poetry, but I've always believed in my heart and with all of my talents that spoken word poetry deserves such a platform, so many more stages, and that it is going to break through in ways that people need. Because music is good, but sometimes music can be so subverted or taken away from its message. But that rawness, the vulnerability, the truth of spoken word poetry, you cannot miss. And I don't care if we're talking about candy bars. I don't care if we're talking about, the first time you saw a girl. I don't care if we're talking about the deepest grief or learning something through childhood or just the stresses that we have of every day through work and school and life. It just reaches. It absolutely reaches. And so to me, I will always look to hip hop as the bar for where poetry can go. Because I'm like that's poetry. That's poetry. Come on. We can be alive and well and spit in bars and be doing it all across the world. And so with every step that I've taken throughout my journey, it has been with the belief that there will be more and even bigger doors will open. And, it may tweak a little bit. We might do the poetry, but then put some music behind it. We might do the poetry, but structure it so that it sounds like a speech in the beginning and the end. We're going to put poetry in places um, until it's just dominant, until there's going to be a piece of light and truth and connectivity in everything that we do. so that we are brought more close together to each other as opposed to being brought far apart. Um, so with that, I have shared poetry with international poetry stars, some scholars of hip hop. I have shared poetry with and had them give feedback. We've done so on platforms in front of a live audience, because also, what is spoken word or poetry without an audience to receive? Because spoken word poetry is poetry written with the intention of being received, spoken out loud and received. I've made audio. I have not come out with any poetry books or chapbooks. I have done albums though. And that's because I just am a little bit of a fundamentalist with this spoken word. Um, I see poetry and spoken word as a little bit different. And spoken word I've got all day, every day. So I choose to share that through albums because I believe it's intended to be listened to. Though you can read the lyrics along as well. I make sure they're in there. You know. And then building on that, I've placed it inside of theaters. So one of the largest audiences I've ever had in Tampa. I was the opening act for Rupi Kaur when she came to Tampa. I believe there was sold out show,
Yes.
auditorium, 2,000 plus people, and I had
Wow.
4 minutes, and I did my thing, and um, we got a standing ovation out of that 4 minutes, and I was the first thing to hit the stage. So
Yeah. Yes. And Mama was in the front row, and I was like off to the side, like videotaping. Oh my gosh. And those were 4 powerful minutes, not 1 second wasted. I was so proud of you, love. So proud of you.
thank you.
In front of someone else's crowd, and they did not know you, some of them, a lot of them, because people traveled from other areas of the Bay to come to Tampa for the show. And they got a chance to experience Jamie. And then Rupi knew that she made the correct choice in choosing Jamie as the person to open up for her, because the stage was on fire and she was ready to cook once you step off. So thank you again.
Thank
That
you.
is awesome. That is awesome. Um, Also, as I said, this show is about showcasing you, so feel free to promote your albums, anything, or show people the covers, anything like that, because it's all about you, right? And showcase, bringing your work to the show, because you don't know who will see this, the YouTube, the podcast. Like I'm from Australia, so I've got a lot of my followers and all that here, as well as the UK and so forth. And Gemini's respected globally, yourself. So you never know who sees these things. So yeah.
Oh yes, absolutely. So I can share a bit and tell you more about the album. One is a
Yep.
actual studio recorded album, which I I recommend. I made sure it was great quality for you all, and even to, be able to be inside a studio and hear a pin drop. So you're talking about hearing the inflections in a voice, like you can hear the inhale of the, and it brings the moment so much alive, so much alive. So this is going to be an excerpt from God is at Your Feet. A fun fact about that one, it started out as a project. It started out as a project. I was taking a class called Civil Rights Music. So it was the entire civil rights era, and we dissected it through soul music and through playlists of what got released throughout the era. And one section just took my breath away, and we were studying Mahalia Jackson.
Oh, oh.
We just came into class one day, and the professor was like, hey, everybody, close your eyes, take a seat, and hit play. And it was my Mahalia Jackson in all of her glory, just I
It
forgot
felt
where
like
I
Michael
was in
Jackson.
the middle of Wisconsin. I did. Where am I? I was transported. Um, and so women were a big theme throughout that rediscovery of the civil rights era. Because women's voices were so kind of subverted. They put MLK in the front. They put, all of these men as the figureheads. But as we tell that story in reverse, we can see how instrumental they were to the structure, to the organization. The bus boycotts could not have worked without women being ready to endure and continue to uphold and continue to keep everyone's spirits motivated and to keep everyone in track. So I wrote. The first iteration of this was performed in a black box theater with just myself in all black and two little actors' boxes. These little like 4x4 little cubes that people paint all black. And then when you sit on them, they can become whatever you want. It can be an altar, it can be a car, it could be a stand, it could be, whatever you want it to be. Had a fantastic time. Um,
Oh my.
yeah, I'll show you some pictures. Yeah, I'm
You
gonna show
have
you some
pictures?
pictures.
Okay.
I do have pictures of that time. They're in one of my reels that are there, like real clips.
No, no,
At the
no,
end, it's like me
no,
in the black.
no,
Okay,
no, no. Lunch date. Lunch date.
basic. So this is an excerpt. The character's name is Angel. So it's poetry, but yeah, I gave her a character. Her name's Angel. It goes like this. Did you forget that I birthed your love? I constructed you, and in return you constructed my destruction. Allowed new people into your lands to taunt and degrade me. Watch me scathe myself into skin and flesh for you. Then bury me beneath layers of necessity until you extract me with your syringes. Crude and unrefined, I am that thick type of oil. How can you forget that I make your crown glow? I don't need to rise from ashes when I made you from dust. You can't speak of thirst to me, an oasis who has quenched deserts, who was stolen from her land and made to march to the edges of paradise. And I am not thanked, and I do not get to see the fruits of my labor unless they are hanging, populating someone's poplar tree. I try to be a heaven on earth, but if I were God, I would resurrect everything we had. If I was a creator, I would keep him and give him a safe home beneath my rib cage. If I were God, my baby would still be here. I swallowed bullets and let hunger breed in my belly so he could taste the freedom of feast in someone else's home. My back cracked like broken glass, shards of Ferguson populating my lead pipe spine. You love me. You love me like you're walking home on a rainy day. You love me like hands confessing their innocence. You love me. Like hands too busy to build a home. You love me. Like you were followed home. You love me. Like you can't breathe. You can't breathe. I can't breathe. But I still love you with everything beautiful inside of
Um, where do you go with that? That's so powerful. The line that meant I swallowed bullets and then my hunger. What was
me.
that one? That
Uh,
was
I swallowed hunger. Oh no, I swallowed bullets and let hunger breed in my belly
yes.
so he could taste freedom in someone else's home.
What a what a powerful line. What a relatable line. What a yeah. Yes. So how did that evolve? That piece? Was it reflections? Was it thinking?
Oh, that's a great question. This one actually was like the opposite. This one was bodily kinesthetic. I
Mm.
was up in a room and had this feeling, but was just like walking around in circles, like reciting things, trying trying to describe the visions, but more so every choice initially was informed by what I felt physically in the body. So like like the face, the like, oh, this is what I feel like. This is icky, like, the 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 and then the words started to get breathed out.
Yeah. Yeah. Deep just echoed and expanded my comments before, like how I really love the passion, the emotion, how you convey that in your recital, in your spoken word, through your tonal inflections. But as Deeps just said, you don't sacrifice that authenticity of who you are when you're doing that too. Some people, not criticizing them in any way, but they deliver that through the um, theatrics in that delivery, which is great, conveying the message. But when you deliver that emotion and that passion by still being you, by still being human, by still being
Amy.
not something that the people want to see, and that is very key. And you grip people right from the very first line, from the time you open your mouth for the first word. Besides the tonal sounds, the other thing that I find really good is your facial expression portrays that authenticity and that passion as well.
Thank you.
It really is a complete package. I can see why you would set a stage on fire. Like, just the crowd would do nothing but relate
Yeah,
and
I,
identify
I do I
with
do
you.
so out of love. Yeah, I do so out of love. So my man, it's cold in here. I think we could use some kindling. Y'all need a little fire? I think you need a little fire.
You guys are in summer, right? I'm in winter.
Oh,
Uh,
oh, there you go. That explains the sweater. It's a lovely one, by the way.
Thank you. I'm totally opposite to you guys. Your day is my night, and your winter is my summer, and vice versa. Everything totally opposite. Like I'm actually on Saturday, 10 a.m. for me, or 9:20 a.m. for me on Saturday.
yeah. He's in the future.
Wow. That is amazing. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh,
Oh,
look, I can't say to say that it's a pleasure and an honor is an understatement, Jamie. It really is. You've touched me right from the very first poem that you recited, and the conversations have been so profound. I'm hoping this isn't just a one-off because I think we'd have to do this again. I think you got so much. You got so much to offer. You got so much to say. I don't think one show is going to cover the expanse of your work, your talents, and exposing the beauty of your soul through your words.
Thank you. I'm much esteemed to have this introduction and to spend every second of this day with you.
The even even Mama Foxy is very quiet and stuck for words. Normally, she's yeah. Wow, I'm amazed.
well, I
Shall
need.
we go to another piece before she attacks me?
Here, I was just going to be nice and saying I wanted you to experience Jamie, but no, no, you just can't let it be, can you? Jamie, my love, do you mind sharing? I was going to say with the last piece and with a lot of your pieces, I love um, the the references that you give to time periods, to events, the accurate references within the poem weaving into metaphor and double entendre. Um, and when you mentioned Ferguson and it's just amazing the way you infused that into that particular poem, but you've infused different things in poems where it's just one word without any explanation, and the cultural reference or the time period reference or the musical reference is understood by those who experience it, and those who didn't experience it will want to know what does that mean. So thank you so much for weaving that. It's amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I would say anyone who's interested in that technique, I don't even know if I want to call it technique, but that if they want to bring that into their consciousness, as I'm editing, a question I ask myself is of what I have experienced, what I know to have happened in the world, what do I want to live forever?
Hmm.
Like, what is something I never want people to forget? And I think about how, even if in 50 years from now, 100 years from now, 150 years from now, if someone were to see this line, and I already have enough, context of what's going on, how I feel, and I just, drop that in there. True readers, and this is why I love being a reader also, true readers and people who consume the arts are smart. And I believe they're always going to be smart and they're always going to be curious. Or they might pick it up at just the right time, or they might be trying to find something completely different and just stumble into, this rabbit hole that a poem can lead you down. I believe poems should be opening to rabbit holes. Poems are portals, okay?
Yes.
So just ask yourself that question.
Jamie, you just got one of the best compliments I think as a writer and as a human that we can have. And this is coming from a very talented and lovable person that I respect greatly from deep. He says, Jamie always makes me want to be better as a poet and sometimes as a person too. What better compliment can a writer, a poet, a performer get? If your words can inspire, well, it depends by what you write for. I write if my writing helps people, right? Great, I'm happy to write. And what, but to me, that no better compliment, I think, is if your work can inspire people to be better as a poet. What else can you ask as a writer? If it can improve their who they are in the way they address life, how much more power would your words can have? Can your words have?
It's beautiful. I am so blessed and privileged and honored that I get to hear those words. One, while I'm alive, while I'm
Mm,
living, I absolutely am given flowers. But to receive those flowers constantly from people who I also admire,
mm,
Deep Thought is so kind, is so consistent, is so open, so giving. So
mm.
for me to be inspired and for me to inspire the people who inspire me, it's how we are all connected and the reflections of one another. So thank you for bringing his comment to my attention. Thank you for sharing it, Deep. I truly love you.
Amazing. I want to hear more of your poetry.
Yes, we shall.
Anything she
Um,
says is poetry. That's why you wonder why I'm quiet. It's not necessary for me to speak because I want y'all to fully experience Jamie. Like, okay, so I now have said that, and I'm gonna sit down and just smile.
Wow. You're going to be quiet?
yeah,
Oh my gosh, Rainier, you're gonna make me come to Australia.
yeah.
Careful, we got big spiders and snakes
When
here. They
when I
keep me
swipe
safe.
at the first when I swipe at the first spider, that'll be my excuse for hitting you in the throat. How about that?
Oh, I feel like we are in a living room and everyone has taken their shoes off. All right, I'm gonna save that one for last. I was gonna do this one last, but I'm gonna do this one right now. I've got a different one to say for last. Um, on the notes of people maybe getting together and being connected literally physically in the world, okay, Tampa's a great place. I was born and raised here. And I would be remiss if like the nature, just the sunsets, the access to greenery and water did not influence me to give my poetry its breath. So this one is called For the Love of My City.
Hmm.
Shout out to my long-term mentor, Walter Wally B. Jennings. Um, I have I've been traveling. I travel a lot. But when I returned back in this area around 2021, 2022, him and his wife had a show and they were inviting artists to take a mural, which our Tampa Bay area has over 300 murals that are documented. They're actually putting them up online for people to see. So if you want to see a small piece of Tampa, it's tampabayhistory.org. They have it there. And also with the Tampa Bay Arts Alliance. Thank you to those people who do wonderful work. And so, as part of those projects, this poem was influenced by a mural in town, also by the same name, For the Love of This City.
Before you get on with the piece, can I ask you? You said you travel a lot. Is that with your poetry and your arts, or
Oh,
holiday travel, or
yes. Yes, with poetry and arts, definitely most of the time poetry and arts. So, I'll be heading up to New York to feature with New Eurekan Poets Cafe, before the year is up. More on that later. Um, I
Road trip.
also do, yes, road trip. I also do typewriter poetry. So, big events, sometimes weddings, sometimes openings. I've participated with the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Doing it, there's an exhibition around, but we're in the middle of the floor and people can come up and just request a topic or request a poem, and we'll just get to going on a typewriter and deliver them this, brand new piece. So I travel with typewriter poetry. I travel to feature, and I also travel to sing. That one's a
That's,
little more
that is
fun
awesome.
for me.
That is awesome.
Let's see who's here. So as much traveling as I do around, I invite you all to Tampa, and this is my piece to try to get you to come. I was born and raised in Tampa, Florida. I love the humidity and willingly exchange the air in my lungs for water. I selfishly swallow hurricanes and remember my ancestors drank an entire ocean. I am chiseled black woman from igneous rock, mat of moss for dense coiled afro. Summer salty air twirls before nose diving into my lungs, and ocean breeze blankets my body. Gritty, my body is gritty. And this is what I know about love. I left home when I was 17 years old and still wanted to be awakened by the smell of coffee and Cuban cigars. Still felt the warm blanket of sun ray against my body during blizzards. My feet were blistered by hot sands in my snow boots, and snowed streets were baptized in the salts of the Gulf of Mexico. So, what I'm trying to say is, my embered inside still burned Tampa, Florida. So what is it that I know about love? I know you can't toss it to the wayside and expect it to disappear. See, my love is complicated. My love is chop and screw, 'cause this my city, boy. So yes, wake me up with coffee, Cuban cigars, freshly siphoned coconut water. For lunch, I want me a Cuban sandwich. So maybe we could slide by La Segunda, take a stroll down 7th Ave, end up at Alessi for dessert. But life here ain't sweet. It's more savory, like dirt bike rides on a Sunday, football game, fish fries in the front yard. I'm talking the palm tree and the palm tree tattoo. Nighttime rides down 275, the night air, El Sereno, making us sticky with joy because we fall in love to the tune of the bonfire, the backyard party, the culture, the friends who become our family. I'm talking the hardest rocks laughing in the rhythm of crashing waves. They say there must be something in this water, 'cause I can love you in my southern twang, no outcast, just feeling goody with my mob. See, this my magic kingdom. This city loves me vibrantly, loves me fashionably in print, loves me like sunset you never want to say goodbye to, even though you know tomorrow's will be just as immaculate, if not more. See, this city loves me crazily, loves me like roosters falling from trees, loves me like alligators preparing to tee off at the golf course, loves me like drifting my body in the Hillsborough River when I die, setting me on fire, pirate captain style, because this city loves me. We are filled with so much mysticism, so much folklore. You wish you knew the secrets to my peninsula. Tropical weather, We don't need no umbrella because we are the thunderstorm and the lightning strike. This city loves me and I love it back. I love it like home. I love it like a welcoming nest. And that is the great part about being in love. Like you, yeah, so the roosters, they really fall from the trees. Like you can go into the establishment and then come out of the establishment, and a rooster will be on the hood of your car. Like,
Look,
I,
one chased me, and I'm sitting in my car, and he's like, what? I'm like, you're not getting anything from me. Get away from my window.
yeah, I was in the middle of e-board and there was an intermission for one of the shows. So I go outside and everything, and I think this rooster was trying to holler at this honey hen, but she wasn't paying him enough attention. So he decided to strut on over to me, talking about some, oh no, it's for me to go back inside.
oh, Jamie, as I said before, your your persona, your expressions, your tone, it's amazing. It really brings the message home. That should be, you should plug that piece with Tourism Tampa or Tourism Florida or something like that. They should use that as one of their clips. The only criticism, though, that I tell you what makes me want to come down to Tampa more and more, even accepting the risks to my safety. The only criticism I would say that you need to include in that, apparently, like globally, squirrels are quite fluffy little good pets. I used to put them in my pocket, but apparently the ones in Tampa are killer squirrels that corner people walking in the park and corner them and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And
Yes.
also, apparently, there's some prowling kung fu militants that walk the streets that. I think that needs to be included in that poem
You talking
just to
about the
give people
cranes?
fair.
You talking about the cranes?
No, the squirrels over at Laurie Park.
Okay, not just the Lori Park,
See?
yeah, they're
Like
not
gangsters.
Apparently,
afraid.
they're killer squirrels in Tampa.
Look, like
Yeah, they
gangsters, you walking down the path and you see one, and then all of the others in the trees, all of a sudden they come down and like they converge in front of and behind you. So now, like you're trapped and the bush is on. Look, I got past them. One came down and one skirted across to look at me, and then his friend looked at him and he said something, and his friend was looking down, and then another one, and then around the bottom of the tree. I got past them, and then I'm looking, I'm like, the water is way too high. So now I'm going to have to choose death by alligator or death by squirrel. You know what? I can kick some of these little buggers, but I definitely can't fight no alligator. So I had to go back through the gangster squirrels to get to my car.
oh yeah, no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Gangster squirrels. Wow.
Yeah. They had
Yeah,
a
no,
hit
I
on me, and Australia sent it. Australia sent the hit on me because he's afraid I'm going to hit him in the throat.
Australian squirrels they're lovable. They just sit in your pocket. They run around your shoulders. They're just friends. They're fluffy little
oh
things.
oh no, not down here. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. You'll see a squirrel and he's like missing half his tail, and you just know that he really been through something, and you don't even want to know what he was scrapping with. But if he had to take on a deer and an opossum at the same time, you bet on the squirrel. You do. I swerved one time trying not to hit a squirrel, and my car has been squeaking ever since. I feel like that was a warning.
See?
Oh my God.
Told you. And every time I would say it, he would not believe me. He made fun of my demise. My life has been spared a couple of times because I turned around. And like, I was not running. I don't run from squirrels like y'all were running, but I was just moving swiftly and out of the way. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I'm with you on that one. Because when I went up north, when I was in Wisconsin for a little bit, I saw a chipmunk, and like now those are really cute, fluffy, adorable things. They really
Yeah.
are. But like take a New York rat and then like bring it down to Florida and it's gonna like transform into a squirrel. So like New York rats and Florida squirrels is like right here.
Yeah.
I
Look,
want to see
beach
them.
rats.
I want to see them fight over that last leg of chicken. I
Okay.
do.
Looks
Have you
like
seen
I'm
the
gonna
best?
come. Looks
Go
like
ahead.
I'm gonna come up to. Looks like I'm gonna come up to Tampa and put this myth to rest. I think this about killer squirrels. I'm gonna come and put this thing to rest.
Make sure you have your rabies and your tetanus shots before you go effing around with these squirrels over here in Tampa. I'm just telling you, them ain't the same squirrels as you had in India and as you have in Australia. Them ain't the cute little chipmunks up there in Wisconsin. These right here are some gangster trap listening, chop and screw rapping gangster squirrels. That's what we have here. Like they have their turf, and if you come on their turf, your life is in jeopardy.
Look,
Just a bit. Just
with all the crazy kinds of killer stuff we got here, I'm immune to all the rabies and all this stuff. Matter of fact, if an animal bites me, they're probably at risk. So I've got to come down to Tampa and I've got to put this myth to rest about these Tampa squirrels. Only seem to be the killer things, right? My goodness.
yeah.
And now I'm hearing it from both of you. So yeah, yeah, I've got to make a trip there
See?
and put
Even
this to.
Jaden is saying it. Jaden is saying our Florida squirrels are different. You notice he only said different. Also, our gators, iguanas, lizards. There's some lizards that look like they should be Komodo dragons that are running around HCC. Like they're eating the smaller lizards. They're huge. And they're not iguanas. Okay, I'm done now. Now I'm nicely triggered. Thank you very much.
Look, gators, I understand. Like we've got big crocodiles here that are left over from the dinosaur era. I mean, these things are like 10 meters long. That I understand. But the squirrels, I've got to come and put this myth to rest. Jamie, getting back to you, what's coming up for you?
Oh, what is coming up? So let's see. One big thing that I'm working on, poetry has helped me with, but it's not necessarily poetry, is a film. And uh, we were on set over a year ago.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm just sorry. I wasn't laughing at what you were saying. I was just laughing
Deep.
at Deep's comment because nobody actually wants to be in Florida. So everything attacks one another. Sorry, I couldn't help laughing. I wasn't being rude while you were speaking.
It's okay. It's kind of, I like to remind people when it's the summertime that it is hot, and that what hot also means is that blood is boiling, and boiling blood just means aggravation everywhere. And
Yes.
so maybe he's got a little truth. No one wants to be there, but we're not gonna start talking about them polar vortex up there, Deep. We're not gonna start. We're not gonna mention that it feels like negative 165 degrees.
Or that it snows in the morning. It's winter in the morning and summer in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah. Well, the snow piles when they like do the streets is like taller than me. Yeah.
Yeah, I played in one of those. Anyway, as you were saying, I took video.
Lunch date, you have to show me. Lunch date, you have to show me. But yeah, what's coming up soon, or as soon as in film terms can be soon, is a film. It was called The Strength of Us Comes from the Strength of Them. And it was based on a true story of a young woman named Lizzie Elizabeth Carr Washington, who was a slave in Central Florida and who lived to see freedom and also lived to live in the house on the land that she had worked, drove a car, or had someone drive her around in a car, and to have a husband and a happy life, post slave era. So it was a joy to work on that. The ups and the downs of working on that film. I did create an original song that is inside of the film that my character gets to sing, and it was one of those soul cries again that came out actually as we were working through the script through auditions, and I was like reading what's on the script, being in character, and I was like, okay, papers, great. I'm gonna sing a song now. So I love that. That's coming up.
So,
Go ahead.
in what way were you involved in that? You were writing character plays,
Yes,
some
writing.
music.
Yes, so because it started out really as like the idea as a passion project. So they had the visual board of every scene that was going to happen. But I assisted with the script, with the music inside of the film and the scoring that's going to be on the film, just bringing the right people together and getting them to feel the right emotions with the right clips to give life and sound to the story. It's great. I mean, it's awesome. I can't wait until it's out there in the world. We'll submit it to
That's
some
amazing.
festivals. Yeah. And we'll do like a launch for it. But yes, the strength of us comes from the strength of them.
And I'm going to be making dresses.
Yes. Most likely making dresses. It's gonna be a launch. It's gonna be a launch.
Okay, I didn't know about this. I'm so excited. Now I'm going to have to look at patterns. So you have to tell me what period, and I'm going to period patterns, and I'm going to be making dresses from that period. Oh my God.
Oh goodness. Yeah,
That is
something serious. I'll have to again lunch day. I'll have to show you the clips, but oh goodness, like the makeup, the people who got brought together on set for that. I mean, we were doing some long days, and this was about like a year ago in August, so it's still hot here, and we are really outside, dirty, sweaty, and to just kind of put yourself in that place, in that time, in those shoes, and I can't say too much, but when you are delivered your freedom, what do you do? Do you when you are delivered your freedom, are you falling to your knees? Are you looking to the sky? Are you running? Are you shouting? Are you hugging tight the person who's like right next to you? Um, are you just frozen? You just stand there? You just cry? Are those happy tears, sad tears? Beautiful times working on that film. So I just cannot wait till we get it all together and out into the world for you.
first off, congratulations, and yeah, that's great, and it's I'm so glad to hear of your successes seem to be growing one after the other, is following, and it should, because I think the power of your word, the power of your spoken word, your delivery, everything, you're gifted, and it's a gift that should be shared with the many, and I'm glad that the doors are being opened for you to share those.
Where did you
Thank
find
you.
time, my love? Like, you still had time for, you're going to make me cry. You still had time for me. You still
Yes.
had time for me. Like, you made time for all these things, and like for Harlem Bomb Shelter, and you still had time. You made time. I love you.
Thank you. I love you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so yeah, speaking of Harlem Bomb Shelter, they still have their programming going on. They still do a virtual component. About a year ago, we were all much more lively on this platform as a way to connect. But I do teach. I do read and offer feedback. Here in Tampa, I go inside of the high schools. I go inside a select few middle schools and teach them poetry and get them to share their work and their words. And you know, it's amazing to see the children who just like writing, and I'm like, I've never read this, I've never read anything out loud. To get up there and be vulnerable and share their truths, and man, it's a gift. I started out somewhere similar, being inside of middle school, doing like a jam, everybody get up, you read your poem, everybody claps. Well, that first step and that first opening led me all the way to here. So I'm so privileged and so blessed to be able to teach these youth in a nutshell everything that I know, and just encourage them, even if writing and being a poet and being a performer is not what you want to do. These are still viable tools that you can use in your everyday life. You can journal for your stress. You can write out your emotions. Here's how you share with someone how you're feeling. Here's how you even get in tune with what you're feeling. Here are some things that you can read so you feel less alone. Um, that's what I do. Basically, October through January, I'm a teacher.
I love it, love it. And I think it's good that you're making the time to share who you are, your words, your talents with the world, and more importantly, thinking about the people who need that break. I love people who never forget where they started. You see people go, they hit the big success and they forget their grassroots. You hit something that really strikes me and the way I've lived my life. Doesn't matter how successful you are, you should never forget where it all started and try to open those doors for others following in our footsteps. That again speaks of who you are within and your authenticity. You're a beautiful human being, Jamie, and it's been an honor to meet you. Uh, I know Gemini said so much about you, and I was looking forward to it. And reading your work, I could see it, but meeting you in person and through these conversations, in getting to know you, it really is a pleasure and an honor to me, and I'm sure many who've been in the room or who will watch this recording perhaps later or watch the YouTube or listen to the podcast. I think they would all agree, and I think you're going to touch many hearts, many people through your authenticity alone. So yeah.
Yes.
Oh, look, you guys gonna get it. This has been amazing. Well, you cue me up whenever you like for the last piece. I've got the best for last. How could I not? Why
Well,
you for an introduction?
well, how about we anything else you want to promote? With whatever else you got coming up besides the movie, you said you were heading to New York for a feature. This is all about you. So anything you want to promote, feel free to. Um, I think we've been going close to a couple of hours, and then we can close off with your closing piece. But before we go there, again, thank you to everybody who's been in the room and your comments. Unfortunately, the comments we don't see when we repost this live, but I wish we could, because honestly, Jamie, the comments right through from Fran, from Deep, and many of the others who's been in the room really show how well you're respected and how much you touch people through your words. And you know, look, even Fran just put in, this has truly been amazing. Beautiful talent, Jamie. It's been, the comments been constant throughout. Very powerful, beautiful, encouraging comments that really recognize who you are and your talents.
Yeah.
And as I've said
One.
to many people,
Go ahead.
this is only the first time, this is never the last time. And as you have events or anything that's coming up, new albums, books, anything that you want to promote and showcase, just let Gemini know, and it'll be our pleasure to have you. This is not the last time for you on the show. This is only the first time. And this door, as I say to all our guests, is always open whenever you've got anything that you want to promote or showcase to the world about what you've got coming up as you reach different events. So remember, it's not the last time.
Thank you. I surely would be sad if it were. So until
No, it
next
won't be.
time, in the meantime, if you have enjoyed my work, if you like to listen more, if you like to engage and stay along on the journey, it's Dawson the Artist. You can plug in directly at DawsonTheArtist.com. Leave me your email. We'll chit chat sometime. And I'll tell you what I've got going on. If you are in the area, you never know where I'll be. So just plug in. I might be in a city near you doing what I do. Ooh, ooh. And the albums are available on all streaming platforms. Now, Spotify is a little bit of a hater, so this live studio album is not available in America on Spotify, but it is available in every other country outside of America on Spotify. And that one is God is at Your Feet. So there's one live from Tampa. It's hot outside because it be hot out here. And the other one, studio recorded album, God is at Your Feet, underneath Jamie Dawson on all streaming platforms.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you want Jamie to see your comments, please put at Dawson the Artist before you post your comment here on Instagram. And when she gets off, she will see your comments on her what's that? On her activities.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you please go ahead and do that. If you like what you hear, if you have any questions, connect with her directly on Instagram or on her website. But if you want her to see a comment specifically concerning her poems, that she'll be sharing a comment on anything that she said at Dawson the Artist, so she can see it when she gets off of this live.
I just found it on Instagram. It's available in Australia. So yes, I've just downloaded it as my favourite. So I'll be listening to that later on today.
Oh, thank you. I shared a bit of it right here on the live. It's only about 7 or so tracks, like a 30-minute listen, beginning to end. And shout out to Rafael Ferreira, from Brazil, who did that artwork that is the cover for that piece. I absolutely love his work and got his permission to include him in that album cover.
Definitely looking forward to listening to it. So, as I said at the start of the show, man, once I create the YouTube and the podcast, I'll send you the links to that, and I'll add you as a collaborator and Gemini on this, so you can share this on your own page. The YouTube and the podcast might take me a bit because I need to get away. So after the show, I'm just going to disappear I'm just heading out. My place of grounding myself is out bush in the middle of nowhere. So being the weekend, I'm just going to, just to recharge myself and ground myself, I'm disappearing out to bush. But during the week, I'll create the YouTube and the podcast and send you the links. Floor's all yours.
Oh, thank you. It's been a joy and a pleasure. Please, everyone, if you've been in this room listening, if you follow me here, if you choose on Instagram, I will follow you back because it's been absolutely love. And thank you, something more than gibberish. Um, Usually there is no introduction here, but for the space that we've navigated through, I'm going to say just a few words about this final poem. We talked about killer squirrels. There are some other killer animals out there in the world. My choice is a groundhog, and you'll see why. But this poem comes from a place of transmutation, of light and of love, of harmony, and of interconnectedness. The formal title of it, in like some little parentheses that no one ever sees, is Groundhog. There's an imbalance. There is a little groundhog sleeping in the ground. On February 2nd, he'll wake and look around. Sees a shadow, he will be afraid. And 6 more weeks of winter will be here to stay. Winter, the cold, dreary season in which survival becomes a little harder and salvation is not easily found. It is in this season, when the innocent tradition started in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, migrates south and becomes Punch a scrawny, non-pale-skinned failure. On February 26th, a groundhog sees a 17-year-old shadow named Trayvon Martin. He started to run, but this groundhog thought that he was a pig, so deserts and rainbows fall from the pockets of Trayvon and sprinkle sun showers on my sunshine state. Bang. 6 more weeks of winter. On November 23rd, a groundhog sees a 17-year-old shadow named Jordan Davis outside a gas station, maybe refilling his hopes and dreams while drowning out his fear of these streets with his music. He started to turn the music down, but then realized that there's no slowing the tempos of this lost generation, and we don't answer to groundhogs anymore anyways, but I guess this filled it with rage because bang, 6 more weeks of winter. Groundhogs are resistant to plagues that periodically wipe out large numbers of wild animals. They have always tried to tell us that we are nothing more than a wild animal. Groundhogs have been given a license to hunt, a license to kill, a license to shoot first and ask questions later, but they shoot first and ask no questions at all. On August 9th, a hog sees an 18-year-old shadow named Mike Brown. There was enough time before the 6 bullets made contact with his unarmed body for his short life to flash before his eyes, but not enough time for an entire nation to realize it only takes 2 fingers to destroy an entire existence. The first to pull the trigger, the second to point the finger at the victim and tell him that it was his fault. Bang. 6 more weeks of winter. On February 23rd, a groundhog sees a 17-year-old shadow. Ahmaud Arbery eclipsed the sun. Caught in his penumbra, a frightened groundhog could not see that he was a celestial body. They could only see the shadow. In Glenn County, Georgia, in February, the weather often teeters between 47 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's no wonder that these groundhogs thought that maybe they were on the brink of spring. Tried to citizens arrest all the parts of him still under construction, but no one knows how wonderfully he could have been made. Groundhog. When you see that shooting shadows will not lift up this everlasting veil of oppression. See with your own eyes your snow as white as blood, groundhogs. We are waiting on the equinox, a time when day and night greet each other in equivalence, but until then, a groundhog would believe that every day is a groundhog's day, but it isn't. There is a little groundhog sleeping in the ground, and countless victims found. If he sees a shadow, he will be afraid. And 6 more weeks of winter, 'cause he won't hesitate.
If you're talking, you're on mute, Rainier.
Sorry, I've got some noise in the background, so I muted myself. Yeah, that piece was amazing. So powerful. The parts of him that were under construction. For us over here, we struggle to understand what life is like over there. And we're not immune to it, but like in this day and age, we struggle to understand the mindset in the US, what life is like. I visited there twice in the last 2 years, and I've seen it with my own eyes as well. It's crazy. We down here cannot understand that. I don't think anybody globally can understand it. And you captured the power of it, and you gave so many questions that people in your part of the world need to ask themselves as a society,
Yes.
within the smaller communities even, people need to ask that. And the black and the white is one thing, but there's also sub little things within that as well. Within blacks, within Hispanics, within everything. The very fact that somebody, even who's lived in that country 20 years, if they're of Asian origin, they're referred to an Asian American. If I said that here, I live in a very cosmopolitan city, all of Australia is, and Melbourne, like Australia was built by the early immigrants, the Greek, Italian, Maltese, and then the Vietnamese after the Vietnam War in the 70s, to now we've got Middle Eastern, Arabic, everybody, the subcontinent. And if I was to say, refer to anybody as an Arabic Australian or an Asian Australian, seriously, I will be facing, I will be dragged, and yet it's so common there. An African American or Indian American or Asian American, my mind cannot comprehend that term.
Yeah. I approach the conundrum from a place of, I get like equivalence, a place of who takes up space, when and why, and what it not only can look like, but what it can feel like when we greet each other as equals.
And even a label, I actually got a person that I was connected with through, she actually she'd been living in the US. She was of Chinese descent, living in the US over 20 years, had a psychology practice for 16 years. In the end, she moved. She said, even after 20 years, I'm referred to as a Asian American. When I offer counseling services to these communities, psychological services, they're happy to come and talk to me and confide and accept my help and guidance and help them to heal their whatever their traumas they're working through. And yet, I'm that feel like that outcast just by that label, Asian American. She moved. She left.
Yes. There is so much work that we can do with each other in our communities. And also, if you are in America and you are watching, please vote. Please make the time. Please vote. Whatever your political beliefs, please exercise your rights.
That's actually an interesting point too. You said, like you guys got a choice to vote. Here, voting is compulsory. If you don't vote, we get high fines. Unless I've got a medical certificate or a reason to say that I'm overseas or something, we get fined.
Wow. Yeah. We were not built that way. It was not designed for everyone to be included. And if someone's not included or chooses not to include themselves, it's like, okay, well, they must not care. Let's just do whatever we want.
No, for us, voting in state elections, council elections even, but for state elections and federal elections is compulsory, otherwise we get fined. Heavy fines.
So they have to, there's a punishment for not choosing democracy. But here we're free to be ignorant and not to choose democracy, or to be extra ignorant on choosing something opposite from democracy and blatant about it.
Our constitution of democracy, each of the state leaders has to vote on any policy, anything that's put forward, and a majority has to win. Otherwise, the federal government can't put that bill through. You got the states and territories; they need to vote and they accept it, and the judicial system, judiciary, and that forms our whole constitution of democracy. And in turn, the people, it's compulsory that they vote for the leaders. We still get assholes as leaders, but that's, what do you do? We still got to put up with that. But for the most, at least, even the federal government cannot overrule unless it's democratically voted as the by the majority of the states and territories and the judicial system. But getting back to your piece, that is so powerful, and you ask so many pertinent questions that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what color, creed, or culture you are. Those are very real human questions you asked, And if that was the case, you can't live, or you could ask, how can you live life like it's a movie? Right? At the end of the movie, the person gets up and walks, but not in real life, right?
Yeah.
And as I said before, that line, the parts of him that were under construction and not allowed to, and we'll never know what the end result of that human would have been. The world was denied that.
That was powerful for me too, because parts of him under construction, I'm thinking his maturity both his physical maturity, emotional maturity, and intelligence. He was 17 and he could have still been made into a skyscraper, but he was still under construction when he was cut down.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Even just, those houses, and you see them, we have so much development happening and everything. Like, it's one of those houses when it's like there's no garage door, and it's like just the garage, and then you can see through and you just see all the wooden beams, but you can't make out where a room starts or where a room ends, and you can just see straight through the whole thing.
Mm.
Like, who, how can you look at this and say this is a bad house? It's not even a house yet. Yes, there's a roof, but you can still see straight through the front and the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. That's always
Jamie,
everyone for me. It's always
abs-
everyone for me. So thank you for sharing that.
Thing.
honestly, we could have like you. That piece has so much in it that we could have spent 2 hours just talking about that piece alone. Um, Jamie, everything that you've shared has been so profound and so entertaining and so beautiful to listen to. Reading your pieces would deny the listener, the reader, of hearing your presentation and seeing how well you delivered the expressions. And so thank you for this. Thank you for agreeing to come on the show. And really, I'll speak for myself because last time I went to speak for Gemini, I got told off. For me, it's been an honor and a pleasure. And Gemini, thank you for inviting Jamie on the show and introducing me to her work and her as a person. Jamie, you've graced this platform. You've honored this platform, this show. You really have. And on a personal level, I'm honored to have met a beautiful human being, a beautiful soul.
Likewise, you have fantastic ears and an open heart, and that makes such a wonderful hosting experience. And this platform has held space for me on today. Thank you to the both of you for entreating me and receiving.
Thank you for thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for saying yes. I don't think we've ever sat down and talked about all the things that you do. And I mean, the way that you have shown up for me in a season of my life where I needed people to show up. I needed more than words. And you've shown up for me constantly and consistently, even with all of this you have going on. Um, I don't think I can express in words how much I appreciate and love you. I don't think there are words for the way that I feel about you. Like apart from like going back in time, talking to mother, let me carry the baby. That's like, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for loving me, for loving my family, um, for 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 holding space for people, for holding space for Kenny. Like you do those things and they're not talked about. You don't talk about them. And so thank you for everyone who has never thanked you. Everyone who has pretended that they've done it by themselves. Everyone who has not held space for you. Thank you for all of those people that you've held space for when you didn't really have it to give, but you found it anyway. I love you, and I'm gonna hug your neck, and we're gonna sit down, cry, and eat ice cream, and get something from Alessi.
Yes.
What
Thank
is
you. I love
it with
you.
you and Nex? You want to hug her neck and you want to chop my neck? What the heck? It's you and Nex.
Okay, short people can mostly only reach necklines and waists.
Yeah, yes.
So, so I'm gonna hit you in the neck. I'm gonna hug you, but I'm gonna have to hit you in the neck first to get you down. So I can hug you around the neck. But I don't know. I don't want to hug you around the neck because I'd be tempted to do one of these. Um, Jamie, he's been asking for it for like over a year now.
Well, well. I see what I need to see, and I don't see what I don't need to see.
That's my baby. That's my baby. That's my baby. You see, that's why you always be my favorite. You know, among a collection of favorites, but like yeah, I polish you because you're there all the time. So I polish you just.
Thank you. So much love here. Thank you all. Thank you.
Oh,
Heartfelt thanks, Jamie. Heartfelt thanks, and thank you, Gemini, as always. This show wouldn't be the same without you. You bring so much to the show. And as always, the audience, you have been amazing. And your, as I often say at the end of every show, your comments, your encouragement helps the artists that we're featuring to give so much more of themselves, right? Because otherwise it's like talking to a blank wall, right? You can only give so much. So you play a vital part in the success and what this show can bring. Gemini and I can bring the people and give them the platform to showcase themselves and their work. But it's not much fun talking to an empty auditorium, right? So thank you for all that you bring. And Jamie, it's been an honor and a pleasure. And as I said before, this is not the last time, it's only the first. So feel free to tap Gemini on the shoulder, me, anybody, reach out. If you've got anything coming up saying, hey, I've got this coming up, really love to. I normally try to schedule guests. Like at the moment, I think I've got all of July and all of August booked, and I think I'm starting to get some spots in September already booked up. So as soon as you know that something's coming up, reach out earlier so that we can lock it in earlier.
Oh,
Because I'm generally a
absolutely.
couple of months booked
Oh,
up.
absolutely. I will be talking to you again. And Miss Gemini Fox, I will be seeing you no doubt sometime soon. Chat, 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 chat.
yeah.
And all of you in the audience, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Gemini. Thank you to everybody in the room. Stay safe, stay blessed, and we will. I'll share when I share this. I'll add you both as collaborators, and as I said, during the week when I do the YouTube and the podcast, I'll share those links. Thank you all. Blessings.
Ciao.